I have the pleasure of kicking off this next session on nutrition and health. My name is Cernak, and I'm the Global Policy and Advocacy Director at the Eleanor Crook Foundation. The Eleanor Crook Foundation is a U.S.-based philanthropy exclusively focused on the fight to end global malnutrition. Based in the deeply held conviction that we can and should end global malnutrition, we make catalytic investments in on-the-ground research that shows us how, and advocacy that makes the case for why. I often get asked, in a world of so many competing priorities and so many urgent issues, why does the Foundation stay true to this exclusive focus? Our answer is straightforward. First, the scale of the crisis demands urgent action. And second, despite the sheer magnitude of the problem, it remains a solvable challenge. Although malnutrition frequently does not get the attention we think it deserves, it is a global health crisis. It's an emergency of epic proportions. Despite impressive progress in global health and development over the last two decades, some of which we heard about this morning, the fact remains that 3 million children will die this year as a result of malnutrition. With this devastating impact, that means that malnutrition will kill more children this year than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. The severest form of malnutrition, a condition that's known as wasting, is when the body becomes so starved of nutrients that it begins to shut down and it literally starts to consume itself. Wasting is estimated to cause a child to die every 11 seconds. These are unfathomable statistics, even for someone who works on these issues day in and day out. At our core, the Eleanor Crook Foundation believes that we must continue to fight for every one of these children. Imagine the limitless potential we'll lose this year because of the 3 million deaths due to malnutrition. ECF's commitment also relies on the amazing reality that despite the scale of the problem, global malnutrition is solvable. The statistics make the crisis seem insurmountable, but the exciting truth is that proven interventions to end malnutrition exist. We heard a little bit about one of those interventions this morning from Congressman Scott. This is the product that he was talking about, ready-to-use therapeutic food. It's a small packet of peanut paste, and it's been known for decades to reverse the course of wasting and to save kids' lives. Maybe some of you have had the opportunity to taste RUTF before. You know that it tastes like a very sweet peanut butter. It's a pretty simple composition of peanut paste, dairy powder, multivitamins, and a couple other things. But despite the fact that it's got a simple ingredient list, it is really powerful medicine. If you haven't had the chance to taste RUTF, we actually have some packets outside. So after the session, I invite you to have a taste. I've seen with my own eyes how this miraculous medicinal food has the power to transform almost lifeless, starving children into happy, babbling babies in just a matter of weeks. It's simple, it works, and it's an effective and cost-effective way to save kids' lives. As we heard this morning, this package right here was manufactured in Fitzgerald, Georgia. At a production facility that's just about 200 miles south of where we're sitting, enough packets of this life-saving food will be made today to bring 4,000 kids suffering from severe malnutrition back to life. And really importantly, the price of the product has been cut nearly in half in recent years. Now the treatment of severely malnourished kids costs less than $1 a day. This sounds like a pretty big miracle, right? But despite the availability of this effective and cost-effective solution, we still have 50 million wasted kids in the world today, and we're reaching less than 20% of them with care. That means 40 million kids are facing an urgent health emergency, waiting for a solution that exists, but it's just not coming to them. Reaching every single one of these 50 million kids with life-saving care that they deserve is something we can and must do. But we know that doing so requires making the fight against malnutrition a funding and a policy priority for governments in high-burden countries, for international donors of foreign assistance like the United States, and for other actors, including universities, private companies, and yes, philanthropies. For our part, the Eleanor Crook Foundation plans to invest $100 million over the next decade in research and advocacy for severe malnutrition. First, we'll invest in research and initiatives to learn more about how to scale up effective interventions to address malnutrition. Ultimately, our goal is to find new and improved ways of delivering life-saving nutrition programs and ensuring that every dollar invested goes further. We are particularly focused on how to make the treatment of wasting even more cost-effective and we are devoting significant resources to working with the United Nations and governments in high-burden countries to finally begin scaling up treatment. We're also supporting research to expand our knowledge of how to prevent malnutrition altogether. This includes, for example, a set of programs focused on how supporting healthy pregnancies and in utero growth can set the foundation of health through interventions as simple as ensuring that women have access to and are taking prenatal vitamins. In addition to our investments in research, the Eleanor Crook Foundation plans to support robust advocacy both here in the United States and globally, making public the plight of the 50 million children on the brink of death from malnutrition this year, and encouraging and motivating action on their behalf. Just last month, I had the opportunity to travel to Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, in a trip facilitated by our Atlanta-based partner, CARE USA. Along with members of Congress and partners, I had the opportunity to learn more about the malnutrition crisis facing the Rohingya refugees, who fled brutal and traumatic circumstances in Myanmar and are now living in the largest refugee camp in the world. The entire delegation was moved by the time we spent in clinics addressing severe malnutrition. In one of these clinics, we met a mom with 6-month-old twins who are no bigger than the average healthy newborn. They were both being treated for the most severe form of malnutrition. It's hard to imagine that after facing severe trauma in her flight from her home in Myanmar, this mom's children were now suffering from an avoidable health emergency. Their fate was still unknown, but they were fortunate to be receiving care. So many more like them are never seen by a health worker. You can't spend time in the presence of severely malnourished children and not be motivated to action. When you look into the eyes of a child who is suffering from a condition that you know is not only treatable but preventable, an avoidable condition that they may die from, there's no other option but to take action. Care shouldn't be left to fate or fortune, and it's on us to ensure that it's not. I'll close with this. In 2019, we stand at the dawn of the age of space travel. It may not be too long before one of you here today decides to spend your next summer holiday orbiting the Earth. In this age of incredible advancement, how much longer will it be before every mother is simply able to nourish her children? That's the question that drives us at the Eleanor Crook Foundation. That question, along with the firm belief that the answer may still be in our lifetimes. But it's going to be up to us to make that happen. Over the course of my very short remarks today, over 50 children would have been lost to malnutrition. I hope you'll join me in the fight to ensure a better fate for their brothers and sisters. And with that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Dave Poisington, who we've heard from a bit this morning, who serves as the director of the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Peanuts, and he'll moderate our next panel on nutrition and health. Thank you.